And I'll just start your reading right now for Cancer. So, yes, the first card you have your past is the Tower. Yes, nobody likes this. Well, some people like it. Yeah, I'm seeing someone who was really, really trying to see a situation in one way, and they weren't able to see the reality of the actual situation. They tried. They were trying to push one thing, the reality, into something that wasn't a reality. And they really, really wanted it to be a certain way, but it actually, it just wasn't. And I think this was about someone who was interested in you. I think they were interested in starting again with you. I think this is probably an ex of yours. They definitely wanted things to go backwards, and they could see what had happened in your past, and they were seeing it as a really happy time. But they weren't seeing a lot of the reality. So, I think you have been through a lot with this person, and I think I just don't think you wanted to go back there again. And I think the problem was that they just weren't seeing everything that had happened between you. And, I think you might have tried to talk to them about this. I think you might have tried to tell them, look, you've got to face what happened. There's no point. You can't just go backwards and pretend everything's fine. But, they just weren't admitting to things. And I think that made you even more determined. No, if they're not even going to acknowledge anything at all, there's absolutely no point. That's what I'm seeing happening there. They just wouldn't face up to things. They wouldn't recognize anything. And I think they just wanted to go back to the way everything was, as if nothing had happened. This card's obviously about a shock. It's about terrible endings, forces of nature, man not being able to go against these forces. And so I think, if you both went back, or if you both tried to go back to the way things were, it'd actually go against nature. It wasn't supposed to happen. The foundations weren't strong enough. And you knew that because you could see this situation realistically, and you can remember a lot of these things that had happened. And they actually remembered them too, but they wanted to forget them. And they wanted you to forget them and just carry on as if nothing had happened. I still don't think this person's gotten over this yet. I think they're still kind of thinking about this, wanting to go back to how it was. They caused a lot of problems. I'm not saying you're a perfect angel, you're not, but they did cause a lot of things, and they caused you a lot of stress, but they just don't want to see any of that. I don't think you're around each other anymore, actually, but you do still think about them. But I think they're trying to be around you again. And I think this is probably quite an intense relationship. This is a very strong, intense fire, all of that lightning. And, it's always hard to get over that kind of intensity. And it's really hard to get that out of your mind, even if you don't want them back. It's that kind of intensity doesn't just go away quickly. It kind of stays around you. And I've had situations like that where I've been in an intense relationship, even if it's short, and it stays on your mind and stays on your mind because you have these really strong lightning feelings, and then you can't just turn it off like a tap like that. Not that you had feelings for them, but it was just all the things that you were thinking about them and all that kind of stuff. It was still kind of all around you. That's what I'm seeing. But you didn't want to go back, especially if they weren't going to admit to things or kind of face up to things. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the next card you have your past is the Knight of Cups. Yeah, I think you did have a really, really intense relationship with this person. And I think this has made you want to be really careful or tread really carefully into any other potential relationships or even friendships. Look at the way this horse is walking. He's moving forwards, he's going somewhere, but he's being really careful. And it looks as if he's about to stop in front of this stream. So he's stopping before he gets to the water. So he's stopping before he gets to the emotions. And that's what you do. You stop before you get to the emotions because it's a little bit much for you at this time. And so I think, you probably had a few potential love connections where your head wanted to be with someone, but you either backed out or, you know, you just didn't feel ready. And that's why you still have this other thing kind of hanging around you. You know, and again, I think there might be someone in your life where you're having to really face this again. This is kind of coming up for you again, and you're kind of having to ask yourself whether you're ready for this. And, you know, I'm just getting this feeling that part of you wants to move forward and part of you's still holding back, I think. And, you know, I think you do recognize that this is a pattern, and you'd like to stop this pattern of kind of moving forwards and back with people. So if this is resonating, you know, of course, you have to do what you need to do in your own time, and, you know, only do what you feel comfortable doing. If you're not ready to be with someone, then you're not. That's absolutely fine. Doesn't matter how long it takes. But think about whether you're letting this person, this ex, influence you indirectly, because you might be cutting out areas of your life, even friends, that could be really enjoyable for you. You could really have some great times with some people, but you might be a little bit too careful, and so you're missing out. So, you know, of course, again, do whatever you think's best for you, use your instincts, of course, but maybe just have a think about all of that. I'm not saying you should jump right into things, but maybe just meditate on that if this is something you do, or just have a think about that. So the last card you have your past is the Lovers. Yeah, I think there actually is someone around you, but I'm still seeing this need to get things kind of balanced and get things right inside yourself before you're completely ready for them. You know, you have let go of this ex. I can see that. You've let go of them, but you still have these things to work through. That's what I'm seeing. You know, this card's obviously about love, but it's a lot deeper than that, of course. It's, you know, the woman on this card has a choice to make. And yeah, she's looking up at the heavens. She's looking up to the angels. So she's looking up at the spiritual. So I think you're going through something very special. And I think it's taken this terrible problem with this ex and this tower and all these things to let this thing come through for you, this spiritual side of you come through. Because, you know, if you have a look at this, this is about this woman looking up to the angel, and she's kind of examining her spiritual side. And when she's done that, and she's come to a more settled place after that, then she'll be able to reach up to the sun, which is above the angel. And this is about, you know, that's about an ascension process. So I think you're going to go through that process, and I think you might have already started in this process. So this is very, very special if this is resonating with you. So yeah, once you go through something like this, what happens is you're not swayed by other people, you're not as emotionally turbulent when you're involved with anyone at all, whether it's a lover, a friend, or anyone. You know, you become a lot stronger in yourself. And I think this is actually something you're starting to go through now. I know this is in your past, but yeah, you're going through this now. You're starting to go through this now, because this starts with acknowledging the past and the reality of that, which you've done already, and then realizing that you have some internal work to do. And I think that might be where you are now, just coming to that realization. I've got internal work to do. I've got this problem. I go backwards and forwards in love. So I've got to do this internal work. And you're going to start to do that internal work. And that's going to lead you to something much deeper than you thought it was going to. That's what I'm seeing. And so, you know, when you get through this, you'll be so much stronger. You'll be able to face just about anything. That's what I'm seeing there. So it's really, really fantastic. And, you know, you're being led to this. You're being led through this. It's not you that's doing this. I know that sounds a bit strange, but you're kind of being led into this process. And it's a fantastic process. Really, really is. Very special. So, and I'm sorry I made a noise before. I think my throat made a funny noise. Sorry about that. I had someone say to me, oh, you're terrible. You swallow and it sounds terrible and all of this. So they complained I swallowed. So if I swallowed, sorry about that. I'm human. So, the first, sorry about that, I don't mean to blame it on you, it's not your fault. The first card you have for your present is the Five of Swords. So, yeah, I'm actually seeing an argument here. But this is words. This is an argument with words. There's no, I'm not seeing horrible yelling or anything. I'm not seeing anyone trying to hurt each other. If you look at this card, there are a lot of swords here, but no one's fighting. This is a battle of words. Now, I don't want you to worry. I don't want you to feel paranoid or anything like that. But I think this ex is probably going to come back in some way. I think they're going to try to talk to you. It might not be face to face. I don't think you want to engage with them. I don't think they're going to come and do anything terrible to you, but I think you're going to anticipate that and you're going to be feeling quite defensive and not happy about that. So I think what you're going to do is you're just going to turn your back. That's what I'm seeing. So, and if they do end up talking to you, just be a bit careful. Don't believe everything you hear, because there's a lot of manipulation in this card, and I think they might try to engage with you, and they might try to use all sorts of ways to get you to engage with them. So yeah, I think in the end you're probably just going to walk away like these two men on this card, because the thing is, when you're going through this process, this ascension process, and you're going on to higher things, you're looking up to higher things, like the woman in the Lovers card, she's looking up to higher things. So when you start doing that, you just want to move away from anything like this, any conflict, drama, manipulation, all of those kind of lower level things. You just want to totally move away. They just completely repel you. Some people love drama, and I don't have a problem with drama, but it's entertaining sometimes. But some people get right into the drama. They love it. And I think once you get into this process, you'll be like, oh, I just want to rise above that. I don't want anything to do with that. So I think that's one of the reasons why you're not going to engage in any of this. And also, for the reason I was seeing in the Tower, you just can't see any point in engaging, because you know that it's something that you shouldn't go back to. That's what I'm seeing. So the next card you have for your presence, the Six of Wands. Fantastic. So yeah, keep on this path, definitely. And I think you can't help it. I think you have to keep on this path. When you do this inner work, it's not only going to make you stronger internally, it is, but it's not only going to do that, it's going to, this strength, this internal strength, it's going to really radiate out into just about every other area of your life. Now, some areas, I'm going to try and explain this. This is very difficult to explain, but I'll try my best. I think some things that you thought were important to you aren't going to feel as important to you now as you go through this. So you're really going to refocus on what's motivating you behind the things that you want, if that makes sense. What I mean by that is you might have some goals that aren't actually truly your goals. Sometimes society gives us goals. For example, people think things like, by this age, you should be doing this, you should be studying this, you should have this house that looks like this with a garden and a fence, and you should aspire to having this kind of car and a family that looks like this, and all of that. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting those things if that's what you truly want, but this is about you. This is about you. Not the you that society wants you to be, and not the you that maybe you think should be watered down or acceptable, or so-called acceptable to show the world. This is about the real you. And if your goals are something no one else wants to do or agrees with, you won't care by the time you get to the end of this. You will not care what anyone thinks at all, because you're going to be doing what makes you happy, and you just will not care. You'll probably just laugh at them if they start saying, what are you doing that for? You'll just laugh, say, oh, whatever, because I want to. And, this is the victory card. And, inner realization leads to inner victory. And that leads to outer victory. And, that's real victory. That's real victory, not false victory. not false victory, not pretend victory, not victory that shows off to other people, not victory that says, oh, I've got this great big mansion, but I only live in one room, but, you know, I'm up to my eyeballs in debt to pay for it so I can show off to my neighbour and I don't like him anyway. That is false. That's not even a victory at all. That's a false victory. I'm not picking on anyone who likes a big mansion. That's absolutely fine. Totally fine to like whatever you like, if it's what you truly want. But if it's not what you truly want, that's not a true victory if you get that thing. That's what I mean there. I hope that makes sense to you. I'm starting to get bossy. I'm going to stop now. So the last card you have for your present is the Eight of Pentacles. So yeah, I know I keep on talking about this ex, but I keep on seeing them. Again, I don't think they're going to give up that easily. You know, if this is all resonating with you about this ex, don't be afraid. You know, no one's going to hurt you. I've seen that in the Five of Swords. They're not going to come and hurt you. I think you probably are going to block them eventually. I don't think you want to do that, but you know, you might have to do that in the end. It might be a necessity if they keep on with this. You know, this card can be about repetition and thinking about someone over and over and over again on a sort of loop, like an infinity. And, you know, this is 8 as well, which is the infinity symbol. So this is what they're like. They're just thinking about you over and over and over again. And I think they're going to feel as if they're at the stage where they're so obsessed and they're kind of stuck on this loop thinking about you. And they're kind of like, I'm going to feel like this forever. I'm never going to get over this. I'm always going to be thinking about them. That's what they're thinking. But, you know, they will get over this. They will get over this. They won't be like this forever because, you know, it wasn't meant to be. This relationship wasn't meant to be. I was seeing that in the Tower card. You know, it was based on shaky foundations. So they will eventually move on because they're supposed to move on. They can't see that now. And I can understand, you know, when you're really heartbroken, when you're obsessed, you can't see that the road you're on isn't the one you're supposed to go on, or the road you're trying to be on. So, you know, they can't see that now, but they will see that eventually. They really will. So the first card you have for your future is the Fool. So yeah, I love the Fool. Because he doesn't care what anyone thinks of him. And that's what I was talking about in the victory card. You are not going to care what anyone thinks of you. Now, you're going to keep on going through this process, which I'm really happy to see. And it is going to change you. And I think it's probably going to open you up to a lot of things that other people might think are a bit, you know, unusual maybe, or a bit different. And yeah, you're going to pursue all these different things. You're just going to say, oh, I'll try this and I'll try that. Oh, I've never thought of that before. You know, I'm going to explore all these things, and it's really fantastic. So, and you're not going to have fear over them. That's what the Fool's about. You're not going to fear. You're not going to, oh, if I do that, what will people think? Oh, if I do, oh, if I dress like that, if I look like that, if I act like that, if I, you know, live where I'd like, oh, what do people, you know, you won't be like that anymore. You just be like, I don't care. And, you know, it's really fantastic. So, you know, you are going to have some people, especially some family members, I think, and they might even start thinking that you're behaving like a fool, actually. And they're just not going to be used to this. They're just not going to be used to this. But I think you'll have to get used to these kinds of reactions from some people. You know, by the end of it, you won't really mind what they say, but as you're going through it, you're going to be adjusting to this. They're going to be adjusting to it as well. So, you know, it's a beautiful process, and, you know, it's an important process, but it can also be a lonely process sometimes while you're going through this, when people who know you suddenly feel as if they don't know you. And yeah, they're just going to have to get to know you again. And yeah, this is just all about everyone adjusting as you go through this. That's all this is about. So yeah, the next card you have for your future is, yeah, the Five of Pentacles. So yeah, this is about this ex again. And they just keep on thinking about you. It's almost like, yeah, it's almost like they're trying to send some kind of a message out to you, or a signal, I know this probably sounds a bit strange to you, but it's almost like they want to send you know, a telepathic message to you or something like that. Because I'm just looking at this boy in this card, and he has a bell around his neck. And, you know, when bells ring through the air, they send a message. It's like a message without words. You know, when you think about church bells or school bells, they send a message telling, you know, the students or the congregation to come in, you know, come toward the building. It's time to go in. It's time to start. So that's what they're doing. They're trying to send a message out to you that doesn't have any words. They're thinking this, they're trying to manifest this, they've got this on their mind. This is actually really, really intense. It's actually a lot more intense than I thought it was. So, you know, again, if this is all resonating, yeah, this is still going to take a long time before they're able to get through this. You know, because this is someone who's looking for something that's not there. They're looking down a path, they're walking down this path, they're trying to find something, and it's not there. It's actually really sad. You know, it's almost like an obsession, but they're not taking action. They're trying to manifest it with their minds. They're thinking about this. Their mind's kind of lost in this. They're not taking action at this time. They're not. But they're really, really intensely thinking about this. So the last card you have for your future is the Seven of Wands. So here's this man battling against everyone. He's up against everyone. So, you know, try not to be too defensive, because I'm seeing people, you know, questioning you, asking why you're changing, asking why you want to do different things. Friends, family, might be both. And I don't see any bad intentions behind any of these questions. They might be a bit annoying, but I don't think they mean to be annoying. So, you know, try to be as patient as you can as you're going through this. It's going to feel a little bit like you against the world sometimes as you go through these different stages. But it actually isn't like that. You know, everyone's just adjusting. Not everyone's going to understand everything. And that's fine. You can't get everyone to understand. And you shouldn't bother, really. If they ask you, you can answer questions, but you don't have to force anyone to try and understand or anything. That's fine. Everyone's on their own path. So, Cancer, I really hope this did resonate with you, because this is a really important process, and I really hope this is resonating with you and that you have started on this, because it's a really special thing to be going through. But yeah, again, general readings can't always resonate with everyone. But, you know, if you like this reading, please like, subscribe.